Hi, my name is Nick, and this is Destiny, and we have a music podcast called the Upstate Beat. It's about what it means to be a musician, kind of what it takes to be a musician in upstate New York, I guess specifically Rochester. Today we have a guest. His name is Vin Nugent. He's a local bass player that's played in a few bands in locally, and he was supposed to be with another musician that he's in a band with named Nick Pryor, who's a drummer, but he couldn't be here today. So yeah, we're gonna ask him some questions, kind of see if he can explain what it means to be a musician. Destiny, if you got any questions, go for it.
Yeah, so then when did you discover music first?
Uh, uh, so when I was a kid, I grew up with Sesame Street, and I think that's when I like really like kind of fell into music. But then I really wanted to start playing like an instrument. So, like when I was in elementary school, that was like our goes to like a choice to play music, and so I think when I was like 6 or 7, I think that's when it all started.
Okay, and how old would you say when you first played the instrument?
I think 7 was when I was like, because in elementary school they brought us in and like what instrument do you want to play? And I was like, oh, I wanted to play like a saxophone. And the teacher was like, well, you're more of a trumpet player. So she gave me a trumpet at 7, and then the rest just kind of like falls into place.
I had the same thing happen with me when I was in elementary school. Teacher told me that saxophone.
Yeah, like she was like divvying out different instruments to everybody else. I was like, that's not fair, because I really wanted to play saxophone, So I got stuck with the trumpet.
Filling whatever spots they needed.
Yeah,
Instead of
exactly.
Like, play what they wanted to play. That's ridiculous.
I'm gonna be honest.
Oh, sorry.
I'm gonna be honest. I wasn't a real good trumpet player. I felt like I could have been a really good saxophone player. You know what I
mean? Probably. Destiny, I don't know if I know this or not. Do you play an instrument? Do you sing anything?
No, I am not musical at all. I do try to dance though.
I guess that's something, kind of right?
All right. Was there any specific band that inspired you, or musician?
That's a hard question, because I didn't really follow like deep into bands until like I was maybe like a teenager. Like I was listening to like genres when I listened to a lot of Motown and soul, and I guess when I was a teenager I kind of had my like emo phase. So like I was really into like the dark music, So I don't know. I think when I was like 16 or 17, I kind of started realizing I like groove more than anything else. So I started listening to more bands that were more focused on like a nice groove and a nice chill, vibe to it.
Okay.
So
you didn't have a specific band in mind.
No, not really.
Okay. I guess it makes sense when you're young. What genre of music do you play now?
So the bands that I've been in are mostly kind of bluesy and funky. They're kind of like different of those. But right now I'm in a blues band, actually, like a really heavy blues band. But I do kind of gear between, like I kind of shift between blues and funk times.
Oh, I got a question. So do you think the mainstream music nowadays is the same quality of music from previous years?
That's a tough question. I think some songs are kind of cookie cutter, but I feel like those songs existed for a long time already. Like nowadays, I think the genres just shift. Like now it's more hip hop based, and the rap game is like incredibly strong. But back then no one really like listened to that. Like back then it was like either started with rock or jazz. So I think when it comes to raw talent, you can tell, right? Like if you listen to a song and like you can just tell that the artist kind of like hits every note, and the beat's on point, the lyrics are on point. But then you can kind of tell when like a song's kind of mainstream and it's just kind of like doing what everybody else is doing. Like I definitely think there's like a nice shift between those. Like I can definitely notice that.
You mentioned you said jazz was popular back then. Rochester's got a fairly big jazz scene, doesn't it?
They do have a big jazz scene. I mean, Jazz Fest is like the first thing that comes to mind when you said that. But like, yeah, like our jazz scene is pretty big. Like, I work with a guy. His name is Jim. He's part of a jazz band, like a jazz funk band called Primetime Funk, and like they've been around for years now, and they're pretty big in like the Rochester scene. And they just and those members actually play in other jazz bands too. So like, yeah, our jazz community is like it's huge here. I think it's like it almost rivals the punk metal band like scene here.
Yeah, I know that's pretty big.
Yeah.
What I don't know is hip hop even big in Rochester? Like I know it's big in general, but like, is there like a hip hop scene in Rochester?
I'm not
I
familiar.
think
Any? Are you?
No, yeah.
no, I can't think of like anybody that's like big out of Rochester.
No, they seem to come out of like the major cities, like either New York City or LA or down or like Atlanta. Like it doesn't seem like anything comes out of like smaller cities as far as like hip hop and rap goes.
You might get people from Buffalo. But I can't think of
That's
anyone off the
true.
top of my head. Yeah. But
That's
like
true. Yeah,
in
you
Rochester,
got, like,
I think we're more, yeah. Like
Yeah.
I think it's kind of based on like the scene of like the city, right? Like if you go into the city, you're gonna see a certain group of people. You know, like you're gonna see a lot of like hipsters here. You're gonna see a lot of punks here. So like the music kind of shifts around that community a lot. Like we talked about before, the metal scene here is pretty big. Like every genre, every venue that kind of like has shows has at least one punk or metal band playing. You know what I mean?
yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. But I feel like if you go out further into like Buffalo, I think their underground rap game is actually pretty big up there.
I could see that. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so being that you live in upstate New York and you are a musician, I don't know if you make a living, like, and that's your sole income, but do you think what would someone have to do to make a living off of music in upstate New York, and is it even possible?
I'd say get a second job because it's hard. Like honestly, it's an all-in play, right? And sometimes, most of the time, you don't make it, which is the unfortunate shutdown. Like if it's a dream that you want to pursue it, right? But also you got to be smart about like, hey, if this doesn't work, I got to have like a safety net to fall back on. I've seen so many musicians just like go completely all in and then just don't go anywhere, and they blow their money on like, recreational stuff. So like they kind of like lose their minds off of that and they don't really make it that far. And like the venues don't pay that much, you know what I mean? Unless you're like a big name band. So like it's a kind of a struggle because our music scene is like oversaturated. Like there's so many people wanting to play, in bands and just play in general. So just trying to like make it is really hard nowadays.
How does the pay work for a musician in like
So
Rochester?
for some venues, they have you sell tickets, and those ticket sales generate how much you get at the end of the night. I know the Armory does that. They kind of just like give you like, hey, here's a roll of tickets, give it to your bandmates, sell it to as many people as you want, and then you get the cut from that, right? I think they get most of the cut. I don't know the percentage off the top of my head, but I remember playing a show there once, and I did make $500. Our band made $500, and we split that among like 4 people. So like it's not great.
No.
But some venues actually pay you whatever the door fee is, like the cut commission from that. But that's not also big either. But you do get free drinks. Some of these venues actually do are nice to like the band members. So there's a caveat to it.
I mean, there has to be some benefit.
Exactly.
Are there any genres of music you don't like?
I don't think I vibe with country that much, to be honest. It's probably the only genre I don't really listen to like on my own time. Like I'll hear it and it's just kind of there,
Yeah.
Do you think like you can't connect with it?
What was that?
Like, Do you think you don't like it because there's nothing relatable about it since we don't live in the country?
Yeah, I think, and also like, I mean, uh, not to like bring races, but I'm not really white, so I don't really know uh the subject they talk about. You know, like it doesn't vibe with me. You know what I mean? Like I like songs that like lyrics about struggle and you know personal struggle and like going through the thick of it, right? Because like my family has been through a lot because of, the war and stuff, and my parents are immigrants, so like I like hearing songs that talk about struggle. But like when it comes to country, I don't really vibe because they're kind of like party songs most of the time, and like they're sure they're love songs. There's also better love songs in other genres. I feel like that I kind of vibe with more.
Yeah, that makes sense. Are your parents
Yeah.
musicians?
No, but they do sing, but they're not like anything career like
They just sing just for the fun of it.
to sing, yeah, to pass the time.
Do you play or do you sing at all, or you just play instrument?
I do sing. Currently I'm the main vocalist for a band, but I also play bass at the same time. I don't normally sing all the time, but if I can, I usually take it up. Yeah.
How do you even like? How did you find the band you're in? Like, is that something you? I mean, I don't know. I don't even know where to begin with that. Like, did you post?
Yeah.
Like,
So I did. There was a time where a couple of us did post some Craigslist ads. Spoiler alert: those don't go very far because you get some weird people that come out. So I ended up falling back onto like networking. Like it's a big network scene. You kind of have to know people in this scene. You don't have to know anybody big, but like just talking to people and just going to like shows and kind of like getting to know like the musicians of the community really helps out because like you might befriend one of them, and for me like I just kind of knew people through the music scene, just being there, so I kind of got lucky on that. But if you're somebody new trying to get into it, I don't know, like put some stuff up, put some of your talent up and kind of go around. Don't be creepy about it, don't like force it in somebody's face, but like come up to them and like, hey, like I like what you played tonight, and like, hey, I've this is my shit, like maybe listen to it and maybe we could do something with it. It's a big network, so if you're good at networking, it's gonna be good.
how old were you when you started doing bands?
I was 19, 20. Yeah, 19 to 20, definitely. Going to bars was kind of hard because the age restrictions, so like I had to kind of know people to kind of get into some of the venues to listen to like other bands. So yeah, around then I knew.
Now you said you play bass and you sing. Are those pretty much the only two forms of musical like ability? Like, or do you have other instruments outside of those?
I used to be able, like when I was growing up, I used to be able to play the trumpet, and then I played the baritone. But I think once I picked up the bass, it was kind of like a moment where I was like, oh, this is my instrument. I'm gonna probably play this for the rest of my life. So yeah, like right now, I think bass is the only instrument I plan on playing,
Okay.
and keep playing.
Trying to think.
I got a question for you.
Oh, all right, you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you ever write music?
So I do write my lyrics. I write some of the bass lines for some of the songs and the bands that I played with. But I don't write like some. It's kind of hard to write most, like all the like the tracks, like the guitar track and the rhythm, melody, and the drum track. For me personally, but I do write some of the bass lines of my own, and I do write a lot of the lyrics that I sing.
Huh. This is an odd question, but I thought
Yeah.
about it. Okay, so obviously every time I meet someone that's a musician, quote unquote, they play guitar. And it seems
Yeah.
like everybody that plays music plays guitar. Is there like a higher demand for bass players in Rochester than other instruments?
Yes, big time. I think, and I'm not tuning my horn when I say this. I think not only are people looking for bass players, they're looking for competent bass players. Like I'm not saying like bands are looking for like people that can like slap and like work the whole bass neck, you know what I mean? But like they're trying to find someone who can follow along a drum track, do a nice driving beat to a song, and just kind of like, be in the pocket for the most of the time. And you're pretty much solid. Like bass is like easy, but also hard because of that. So, but like also the bass player scene here is kind of small. Like I know like maybe 5 or 6 of the really good bassists here, that are like actually playing venues and going out on tours and all that.
Oh, wow. That's not as many as I thought.
No, it's a small number. I mean, there's a lot more, but like off the top of my head, like prominent ones, I only know a handful.
Do you have any specific venues in Rochester that you prefer over all the other ones?
I really love the Bug Jar. Like that scene is probably my favorite. Yeah, because not only like is Bug Jar open to like bringing anybody in. It's the mix of people that come there is really nice because you get a sense of like this crazy big community. You get people from like the DJ community. You get people from the metal community. Even like the hip hop community, and they all just come together and they just listen to music. It's a really nice vibe the whole time.
Okay. Destiny, do you have any other questions?
Yeah, I got a question. If you could collaborate with any other musician, who would it be?
Oh, that's a good one. You guys know who Anderson .Paak is?
Yeah.
I don't.
I love that man. I think he's a rapper, but also he's a drummer. I mostly like his drumming, and if I could play any song with him, I think that would be really good.
I think he was the last thing I heard from him, he was featured on I think like one of Eminem's newer albums.
Yeah. And he also made that band with Bruno Mars, Silk Sonic.
Oh, the
Leave the Door Open.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. He's
Yep.
amazing with that.
Oh, okay. I know who he is then. Wow. His name is like unknown to me. That's crazy.
Yeah, Anderson .Paak, Packer Park, I think. Because he's I think he's half black and half Korean. So like his name is like stylized weirdly.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Okay. Well, before we close this out, what would you say to any younger musicians in Upstate New York that are determined to make a living off of it? What advice would you have for them?
I guess the best advice I could give someone like that, and this kind of like stretches into the general stuff too. Like it's okay to follow your dreams, right? It's okay to pursue what you want to do, but always have a backup plan just in case, because you never know, you never know when the moment comes and you're humbled, and something kind of knocks you off that high that you've been chasing, and it's going to be a really bad feeling, but getting up from that and just kind of continuing and knowing how to continue actually helps a lot, and you're going to go far for sure. But like if you're a musician and you want to be a musician as a kid growing up, just practice and practice. You have to become that instrument you want to be, or that part that you want to do, because the more miles you put into it, the more it's going to show, and the more it shows how comfortable you are doing all of that.
Okay, that's fair. I think that's fair. Before you go, what's the name of your current band or project, whatever you want to call it?
The current band I'm in is called The Rare Device. It's the blues heavy band. It's really cool. The drummer is actually from a really at least East Coast region kind of well-known band back in the day called Hot Mayonnaise. It's a gross name, but he's really cool.
I believe I remember.
Around the block. Yeah, his name's he was supposed to be here, but he's working his second job, as we all should, pursuing the music career.
Well, that's all I got for Destiny. Do you have anything else?
No, that's all I got. We can find you at the Bug Jar. Is that where you're going?
Usually, so Friday, Saturday nights are are usually open. The Bug Jar has been kind of weird since COVID. All things have been kind of weird, but Bug Jar has been pretty vocal on their social media. So they kind of show the bands that are, playing. So sometimes it's a DJ night, sometimes it's a metal night. You never know what you're gonna get, so always, check ahead of time.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for taking the time to do this with us.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you. Bye.